Oh, I should put these on the other screen, right?
All right. And that's it's not live yet, right?
It says live. 1 minute.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, we are?
Sorry about that. Hey, Scarlett. It's good to talk to you again.
Hi. Hi. Well, you know what? It doesn't even matter because it's, oh yeah, it's live.
Yeah, it's live.
We are
I didn't even
live.
notice. I was just pushing all this over there. I wanted to show
11
you.
Central, so who cares right now? Like, everybody's watching this.
I wanted
Maybe-
to impress you with my research.
good.
You gave me that book list. So I decided to not buy the books, but rather go on YouTube to see if they were read aloud, and a lot of them were.
Oh yeah, they are. They're read aloud, and the links are put into teacher resources, so they'll just play them in a classroom.
Yeah. So these are all the
Yeah,
G-Safe.
let's play the books.
All right. Now there's a few of these. Like I'm just gonna go through them like one at a time. I have them popped over on the other screen, just kind of it.
I've got to get a better background here. This looks like a grandma's house. It doesn't look this bad in real life. That's cute, but then when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like my grandmother's house. Oh.
So this one, like these are the sing-alongs, right? We're gonna start with like the.
Oh no, I know her. Oh, it's
right
bad.
from Queer Kid stuff, right?
Queer Kid stuff. Oh, it's so cringy. Okay.
And this is why like queer theory appeals to kids, because they're gonna do fun like sing-along songs, and like here you go.
All right. Does your sound work? Oh, you know what? You're gonna have to put it in chat.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, is it not gonna drop in?
Yeah, because
you're gonna have to share it.
Sound. Yeah, I'll have to share it.
All right, we'll do them one at a time.
Yeah, we'll do one at a time. So just
it should be queued up at about 5:17.
Oh,
like I just flipped into the middle somewhere, but at 5:17 I thought it was
so bad.
Yeah,
I mean not bad. Like it's just so it's such propaganda. Like while I'm waiting,
and she's been around for like I remember Shuan had talking about her way back in like 2016.
So anyway, so I'm Navy wife, 12 years. My dad was a Marine. If you're in the military, you know this. So if you're on base and you're overseas, the only shows you get to watch are on the Armed Forces television. And then you have to watch the commercials. And the commercials are so cheesy, cringy. They're these pure like propaganda, like, oh golly gee, Dad, I didn't want to move again. But oh, we got to do this for the country. And it's all like and I remember watching them thinking, oh my gosh, like this isn't even commercial. This is all like kind of like hoorah military stuff. That's what, and at least that was for a good reason.
Yes.
This Queer Kid stuff is that kind of super cringe, ultra cringe,
but for kids, and that's what makes it less cringe and more weird. Yeah, just like pop into like, you know,
here. There we go.
5:15. Try just fast forward to 5.
They have to wait. If anyone who hasn't seen this, they have to see how weird she is.
Has anybody ever been to a drag story hour show?
No.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, I wanted to support Drag Story Hour right now because they are extra special friends of mine, and I think they are awesome. So today we're going to
Story Hour.
You know what? We're actually not going to read this book.
Right, she's going to bust out her ukulele.
The book is If You're a Drag Queen and You Know It, and it's written by Little Miss Hot Mess, and it's illustrated by Olga Rios.
Yeah, Little Miss Hot Mess
is actually a song. Isn't that kind of cool? So I thought we would sing it together. Are you ready?
Ready,
Linz?
I'm not ready.
All right.
Oh,
are you ready to sing this book? Okay, sing along with me at home, all right? If you're a drag queen and you know it, blow a kiss. If you're a drag queen and you know
Now,
it,
all the
blow a
kids are
kiss.
going to want to do the things.
If you're
Which
a
means
drag
you're-
queen and you know it,
Oh my
and you wanna
God.
show if you're a drag queen and you know it, blow a kiss.
Oh my gosh, this is
All right, the next one is strike a pose, okay? If you're a drag queen and you know it, strike a pose. If you're a drag queen and you know it, strike a pose. If you're a drag queen and you know it, and you really want to show if you're a drag queen and you know it, strike a pose. Nice poses, everyone. All right, the next one is say ta-da.
Right. And they
If you're
keep
a
going.
drag queen and you know it,
And
say
my
ta-da.
favorite is like the
Ta-da!
wink, right?
If you're
And
a
it's
drag
almost
queen
like
and you know
subtly
it, say
implying
ta-da.
that, yeah, we're all
If
drag queens. This
you're
is all
a
good.
drag
And
queen and you know it, and you really
obfuscation.
want to show if you're a drag queen and you know it, say ta-da, ta-da! All right. Oh my goodness. This next one. Okay.
Oh
Is
God.
everybody
Oh,
ready
God.
for it? If you're a
Okay, so-
drag queen and you know it, do all three. Oh my goodness.
Right. So what?
Blow a kiss.
Right, so go ahead and you can kill
Let's
that.
fast forward some of this. Yes.
Yeah,
we-
kill
we
that.
get it.
Unless you want to forward to the other part, but it's more of the same, but it's getting everybody to do it.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Are you ready to do all three? I think we can do it.
Oh God.
If you're a drag queen and you know it, do all three. Give a wink. Shake your bum. Laugh real big.
Evil
Ha,
wink?
ha.
For real?
If
Yeah.
you're a drag queen and you know it, do all three. Give a wink.
Uh-huh.
Shake your bum.
Shake
Laugh
your
real big.
bum.
Ha, ha.
Yeah.
If you're a drag queen and you know it, and you really want to show if you're a drag
Act
queen
like a
and you know
stripper.
it, do all three. Give a wink.
Shake your
Shake
butt.
your bum. Laugh real big. Ha ha.
Yes.
All right. This next one is mouth the word.
All right. Let's.
Yeah.
call it.
So, and then, okay, so we'll just go in order. The next one, this is the hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish.
If
I just
Oh,
you're
fast
she's
a
just gonna
forwarded
keep
it.
going.
drag queen and you know
So,
it,
yeah,
shout
let's
yes,
go.
queen.
We'll
Yes.
stop this. Let's get to the next one.
Yeah, you can kill it.
It's
I
just
mean, it's
never
just,
gonna end.
it's never going to end. This one, I just fast forwarded to like 120. Just
All
because
right. All right.
you know, I don't want to watch all of it, but it gives you a good sample that's like right in the middle of it.
Yeah. All right. Let's add another one.
And again, the weird part of me is like these are actions. Everybody has to do it, right? And you're like you have to imitate these things. So you are saying, yes,
Mhm.
I'm a drag queen. Everybody's a drag queen.
Yep. Everyone has to. Okay. So I'm gonna share the screen. Hold on. The hips on the drag queen. Let's go.
Yeah, about 120
Here
or
we
so.
go.
The hips on the drag queen go
Oh.
swish, 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 swish,
Oh my
swish.
God, this
The
is
hips
so
on the drag queen go
Look at these pictures.
all through town.
This
The
is
hair
so
on the drag queen goes
creepy.
up,
This is
up,
like a
up,
Halloween nightmare.
up,
Yeah.
up, up. The hair on the drag queen goes up, 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 all through the town.
These pictures are so ugly.
Go stomp, 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 stomp,
He's
stomp.
creepy and
Shoes
scary
on the
and
drag
he
queen
would
go
scare
stomp, stomp,
any of
stomp,
my children.
all
Look at
through
these pictures.
town. The jewels on the drag queen go bling, bling,
That
bling,
no
bling, 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 bling. The jewels on the drag queen go bling, 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 all through the town. The shoulders on the drag queen go shimmy, 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 shimmy. The shoulders on the drag queen go shimmy, shimmy, shimmy,
creepy.
all through the town. The cheeks on the drag queen go flash, flash, flash,
I want
flash,
pictures
flash,
of
flash,
Look at those
flash,
pictures.
flash, flash.
like
The
see,
cheeks on the drag queen go flash, flash,
if you
flash,
think this is as
all
creepy
through
and
the town.
sick as I do.
This is a
The
horror
fingers
film.
on the drag queen go snap, 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 snap. The fingers on the drag queen go snap, snap,
No,
snap.
notice the bearded man.
All
Bearded man.
through the
It's
town.
creepy.
The mouth on the drag queen goes blah, 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 blah.
That's
blah,
us.
blah, blah.
Oh,
Out
John,
on
look
the
at the
drag queen
picture.
goes blah, blah, blah. Oh,
I think that means ignore everybody else.
the dance
Well,
of
you
the
can
drag
tell
queen
it
goes
now, like,
twirly, twirly, twirly,
too much.
twirly, 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 twirly. Dance of the drag queen goes twirly, twirly, twirly. Oh.
Twirly, twirly, twirly. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's
Outrageous.
gross. It's
Yeah,
gross.
and
The pictures are so
those pictures
weird.
are outrageous, aren't they?
Yeah, they're outrageous. They're ugly. This whole like it's badly done. It's all just badly done. It's creepy. It's like this should be a scary Halloween like show. That's what I think.
Yeah.
It should be a scary Halloween
Now,
show.
this next one isn't, now this is getting a little bit more from like the sing-along. So this is an actual book. It's way too long to go all the way through right now. And the author of the girl that actually wrote the book is going to both read it and give commentary. And if I could indulge you, you can, and she talks really slow. So if you want to speed it up to like 1.5, that's cool. But start at like 9:30 and go to about 13:30. It'll be worth it. Like, and if you do it at 1.5 speed, that it should work because she talks so slow.
Okay.
And that those 3 minutes, you'll
Okay.
get what I mean.
All right.
Now for this, they're just gonna like, so these again, this is a program they're gonna be showing to kids, right? I want to know how this is even legal.
Weird from a very young
Okay.
age.
I'll turn it up low.
Knows. He doesn't have to come out because he never.
Yeah,
was
9:30.
He's raised in a
9:30.
home with
Let's go to there.
sexuality as sin.
So they're in church.
Decided it was important to say that. Like he can't bless unions between same-sex couples, same-gender couples, because he can't bless a sin. I'm not even going to engage with that. It's outrageous.
It's
But
outrageous.
so I wanted to show this
Here.
mom here. She's totally based on me, but she's got kind of a sentimental attachment to church. She grew up going to church. She takes her child to church, and she's got her own ideas about God, right? So she's not there to oppress gay people. She's not there to oppress women, but she is in a place where they do that. That's what they do. That's what the Catholic Church does.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Among other things. So this kid is super uncomfortable. Look at them. Churches can preach all they want about love. The only thing I feel when I'm here is shame.
Oh wow.
The shame
Yep.
is mom. And it's not coming from God.
It gets better.
My spirit floats free. And we see his little spirit float up. You know, like when you're bored in church and you can just dream, you can just vision. And they float up, the spirit floats up and loop-de-loops up in the rafters of the church. And who pops in, floats in, but Jesus Christ himself. Jesus. Yes. You're here. Always and everywhere. Do you know what's happening down there? Yes.
Oh, look at Jesus too.
Does
Yep.
it hurt your feelings if I don't believe in you? It's my job to believe in you,
Oh my gosh.
and I do.
Yep.
So we're cool? Always. Hey, Jesus. Hey, what? Are there other gods besides you? Right, so if you find yourself face to face with Jesus Christ, whether or not you pray to him or not, it is a good time to ask your questions.
Oh my God.
And look how excited he is to get the answers. Both of them are excited. This is what the Pope should have said. Divinity is everywhere, in everyone, and everything. See how easy that is?
Oh my Lord. Oh,
Meditating Bodhisattva,
blasphemy.
Lapidary, the ancient goddess with the crack down through her, the snake, the changing seasons, the trees, the cheetah, the water.
Just one more minute.
Are you going to punish the people of earth who hate me and blame it on you? He asks. And Jesus says, no, everyone is invited to love and be loved. How about him? And here arrives the spirit of Billy Porter in his tuxedo ball gown.
Oh my gosh.
He sashays along that red carpet and waves up at them. And especially him, says Jesus Christ.
Oh my
Love the
gosh.
dress, Billy. And Billy says, yours too, baby. Everyone on this page is wearing a dress.
Oh my gosh.
Even
Who's that?
that's Mitch McConnell. Invited to love and be loved, considering all of the harm he is causing.
Okay.
And Jesus
That's the
Christ-
payoff. That's where I
He's the
I-
devil. Mitch
that's-
McConnell, Satan.
Right? He's showing us what unconditional love really is.
So yeah, that's what I
Okay.
wanted to show you on that.
That's wow.
Want to know what I love, Jesus?
Isn't that great? I mean, like,
Oh yeah, that is. I've never seen this. That's jaw dropping. That's
for kids, right? I mean, you're just straight up like saying the Catholic Church is wrong. Here's what it really is. So we're just going to preach heresies. Like, this is straight religion.
yeah. No, it's an anti-religion religion. It's a humanist religion. It's the woke religion. It's the woke religion. And you're indoctrinating kids into it. You're basically brainwashing them. And if they belong to a family that is Catholic or Christian, you're going to use those 8 hours a day where you have them to basically deconstruct them and then build them back up in the image that you
Yes.
want.
Yep,
And
that's
that is not their job. That is not their job. But with woke education, they see themselves not as like teachers of education, but as like these religious priests.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how they can sleep at night, knowing that only 5% of Wisconsin children in Milwaukee can read. They have to convince themselves that their job is not to teach kids to read, but to teach them how to love and be loved in divinity. And, where Trump and Mitch McConnell are the worst, and Billy Porter is like an angel.
I know. And I didn't even get to the end of that story because I was reading the other parts, but I'm just like, that's just outrageous. I don't know how you can get away with that. Like, when you're not allowed to teach religion in public schools, again, this is what the GSAFE and these GSAs are going to teach to little kids. And like, as you know, right, where these things are going to not just talk about sex and sexuality, but they're going to get everywhere because they're intersectional, right? They're going to be all parts. So cue up this one. This one is called, I should have been telling you the names of these different books.
We did. We knew the hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish.
Yes, we did. And that
which
last,
people didn't believe it was an actual book, but it is. And FYI, the author, A Little Miss Hot Mess, is the one that is actually like a PhD in education and wrote one of the infamous journal articles about queer pedagogy and drag queen story time, and how drag queen story time was an essential way to
that's right.
James break down heteronormativity. Yeah.
Yeah. James read this on his podcast. So that one that we just watched was called, hang on, I've got it over here. The artist, that's Anastasia Higginbotham, reading What You Don't Know, A Story of a Liberated Childhood. Notice the communist claptrap.
It's totally communist.
Right. So this next one, you cue that one up.
Yeah, we'll get it
Now,
up.
and now I want you to choose
everybody. This one I do know.
Okay, so fast forward, if you would, to 3:50, 3 minutes 50 seconds, and this is everybody.
This is everybody. A first conversation about bodies.
3 minutes 50 seconds. I think is where the part that I wanted to point out to you. And you'll
I
immediately
have a
know what I'm talking about. And then
Well,
go
I
for a
was-
bite.
dark brown
Oh
or
my
pale
gosh.
pink,
Looking
brand
at
new or
this.
very old.
All right. So where should I
For,
go?
3 minutes, 50 seconds to 5 minutes. So yeah, so about
Okay,
350 minutes, 345.
There we go.
Before you were born, a group of white men started making up lots of ideas about bodies that aren't true. They said that
Oh my
one kind of body is the best, and that being fat was bad, and being skinny was good. They were very wrong. But
Oh.
lots of people listened to them. Some people still think that being skinny is better than being fat, or to be healthy that you have to be thin.
Yes. Well,
Because of these ideas, there are unfair rules about bodies that make lots of things harder for fat people, like getting the care they need from doctors. Also, because of these ideas, many people feel they need to change their bodies to look a certain way. But that's not true or fair at all.
this is just lies.
Mhm.
These untrue ideas are hurtful and can make it harder for people to get what they need. So it's important to come together to tell the truth about bodies. Everybody is a good body, and all bodies can be healthy.
Yep, that's
No,
it.
this is not.
Thankfully,
Yeah,
there's
you can pause
already
it.
lots of people who are
This is not a good message to send to American children who struggle with obesity more than, what any industrialized country. I mean, that eating all the bad foods, all the saturated foods, all the fats, all the fast food, to say that it's actually okay to be obese is just, I mean, that is going to harm kids, and as they grow into adults, they're going to lose years off their life, and they're also not going to be able to enjoy lots of things because they will not have the stamina, the ability, the health to do them.
Or just push back on your parents when they want you to eat healthy, but you've read all these
Oh.
books, and my teachers are saying, no, all bodies are healthy. Like,
No,
doesn't
no,
matter.
listen, being Ozempic thin is also not healthy, and I know
Correct.
that in Hollywood, I mean, I should,
Like,
I'll
if this
pull
was
up
saying
some
we should,
pictures of
if
that.
this we shouldn't make fun of fat people. Okay, fine. That's a fine story for kids. But to say everybody's healthy and do it in a racist way and say, yeah, but a group of white men got together and that's why.
Oh yeah, a group of white men. Yes, white
Yes.
men got together,
So-
and yeah.
Some straight racism on there too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was everybody.
Something else.
Yeah, and then here is the I Am Jazz book read aloud. This one's like a shorter one. I just queued this right up to like 45 seconds because, it's that you'll get it. It's about a 30-second clip.
Okay. Sorry.
Another book on the GPAC or the G-Safe list, I Am Jazz. And I just did 45 seconds.
Okay. I Am Jazz. Second. All right, here we go. Just fast forward a little bit, but this one is, I think, important if people have not seen this.
Yeah.
I am Jazz. For as long as I can remember, my favorite color has been pink. My second favorite color is silver, and my third favorite color is green. Here are some of my other favorite things: dancing, singing, backflips, drawing, soccer, swimming, makeup, and pretending I'm a pop star. Most of all, I love mermaids. Sometimes I even wear a mermaid tail. Best friends are Samantha and Casey. We always have fun together. We like high heels and princess gowns, or cartwheels and trampolines. But I'm not exactly like Samantha and Casey. I have a girl brain, but a boy body. This is called transgender. I was born this way. When I was very little and my mom would say, "You're such a good boy," I would say, "No, Mama, good girl." At first, my family was confused. They'd always thought of me as a boy. As I got a little older, I hardly ever played with trucks or tools or superheroes, only princesses and mermaid costumes. My brothers told me this was girl stuff. I kept right on playing. My sister says I was always talking to her about my girl thoughts and my girl dreams and how one day I would be a beautiful lady.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Wow.
mean, straight up there, just
Sometimes my
confused.
parents let me wear my sister's dresses around the house, but whenever we went out, I had to put on my boy clothes again. This made me mad. Still, I never gave up trying to convince them. Pretending I was a boy felt like telling a lie. Then one amazing day, everything changed. Mom and Dad took me to meet a new doctor who asked me lots and lots of questions. Afterward, the doctor spoke to my parents and I heard the word transgender for the very first time. That night at bedtime,
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to look at how little to the
Mhm.
doctor, transgender.
Yep.
Wow.
Mom and Dad told me I could start wearing girl clothes to school and growing my hair long. They even let me change my name to Jazz. Being Jazz felt much more like being me. Mom said
Wow.
Yep.
This is crazy.
I know. So they're
being
just
Jazz
very
caused some
normalized.
other people to be confused too, like the teachers at school. At the beginning of the year, they wanted me to use
The boys' bathroom,
Uh-huh.
but that didn't feel like me at all.
I was so happy when the teachers changed their minds. I can't imagine not playing on the same team as Casey and
We're
Samantha.
playing on.
Even
Yep.
today, there are kids who tease me or call me by a boy name or ignore me altogether. This makes me feel crummy. Then I remember that the kids who get to know me usually want to be my friend. They say I'm one of the nicest girls at school. I don't mind being
So,
Yep.
and then this is the real life story.
Yeah.
Right here. Wow.
So this is based on a true story. It's more than just
Yeah.
a cartoon. This is somebody that's set as a role model.
Yep. Yep. Wow.
And
That's
Jazz
crazy.
is, of course, like sterile and
Yep.
world of hurt. You know,
Yep.
it's I just
Yes,
in
and
this
I mean, there's because Jazz had bottom surgery and went through, and basically they, remove the male genitalia and create a fake crevice, and that crevice has to be stimulated like all the time, several times a day, very painful, has no function. I
Right.
mean,
And
I
because of the hormones, the cross-sex hormones, like Jazz ended up with a micro penis, and there wasn't enough tissue to do the inversion.
yeah, so
So
there's no sexual function.
no sexual function, no ability to ever orgasm, and
Mm-mm.
sterile. Yeah.
Yep, sterile, yeah, completely, like I said before, turned into a eunuch.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
And
all purposes, turned into a eunuch.
yep. And whether Jazz is going to live a happy life, I'm going to just doubt that. And I feel bad for Jazz. That's how the parents let them do that.
I mean, if allowed to go through the male puberty, most likely Jazz would end up being a gay man.
Yep. Yep.
That would be, and then still be able to live a normal life.
Yep.
But that child was robbed of a life, and now will the parents ever? I mean, what happens? If realize, I made a mistake after doing all of those things. I think they're going to be dug in and committed. Like this is real. This is real. This can't be fake. And
and you're all in by that time. It's really hard for
course.
people like Chloe Cole to like turn it around, and Luca, and that, like, it's Laura Becker.
At least they were able to turn it around at a point where they hadn't lost everything. I mean,
Correct.
It's just so sad.
Okay, I've got one more if you want to indulge me.
Sure.
All right. This book, again, G-Safe. This would be for, again, elementary school GSAs. It's called They Call Me Mix.
They Call Me Mix.
Okay, so this one.
We should mention that all of these books are recommended for Gender Sexuality Alliance clubs for elementary kids from K-5 to 5th grade. So that's 5 years old to 10 or 11 years old. So all of these books are recommended for very young children to be read in the classroom.
Right. This was not my random internet search. I only searched the books that were recommended.
Yeah.
So here, this is a long one. So if you could start, there's two pieces that I want to show you. The first starts at 4:40 and goes for a minute. I'll tell you when to stop, and then we'll kick forward.
And this is called Explora Storytime. They call me
Mix is the title of the book. Explore Storytime must be this channel.
Okay, there we go.
Like 4:40.
Hi, my name is Leon Powell, and for Explora,
He's going to do this in
today,
Spanish
we're
too.
going
It's
to be
written
reading a
in
book
English and Spanish.
titled They Call Me Mix, Me Llaman Maestre, written by Lourdes Rivas. Hola, mi nombre es Leon Powell, y para la hora del cuento de Explora de hoy, vamos a estar
Yeah,
leyendo
4 minutes,
un
40
libro en
seconds.
inglés y en español
Wow.
titulado They Call Me Mix, Me Llaman Maestre, escrito por Lourdes Rivas.
So you know they're going to be teaching this to immigrant
Boy
Spanish
or a
children.
girl?
In Milwaukee.
Are you a boy or a girl? How can you be both? ¿Eres niño o niña? ¿Cómo puedes ser de los dos? Some days I am both. Some days I am neither. Most days I am everything in between. Algunos días soy de los dos. Algunos días soy ninguno. La mayor parte del tiempo soy todo entre los dos. Before I was born, my mom had two different names ready for me, Daniel and Lourdes. I would be Daniel, like my tío, if they decided I was a boy, and Lourdes, like my tía, if they decided I was a girl. Both names come from my mom's siblings in Mexico. Antes de que yo naciera, mi mamá tenía dos nombres listos para mí, Daniel y Lourdes. Sería Daniel como mi tío si ellos decidieran que yo era niño, y sería Lourdes como mi tía si ellos decidieran que yo era niña. Los dos nombres vienen de la familia de mi mamá en México. Cuando yo nací, todos decidieron y se pusieron de acuerdo que yo era niña.
Wow.
Entonces me nombraron Lourdes.
So again, this is
Wow.
As a
for
kid,
kids that can't
I
speak
never
English.
felt like I was just a girl.
Yep.
I never felt right knowing everyone was deciding and agreeing that I was a girl. De pequeña, nunca me sentía como solo
Cool. If
una
you
niña.
want to fast forward to
Nunca
like
me sentí bien
4:30
sabiendo que todos
or
decidieron
so.
y se
Well, this
pusieron de
is
acuerdo
it's interesting
en
that
mezcla de los
they,
dos. Quería que todos me
that
creyeran.
this is the bilingual.
Sabía cómo explicárselo a alguien más. Entonces seguí pretendiendo.
So yeah, you see,
¿Qué debería hacer yo? ¿Dónde quepo yo?
where do I
¿Dónde
fit in?
puedo
There you
Do I
go.
fit
Right here.
in?
You're good. Yep. This page.
Here, we are transgender. We are not one or the other. We flow free like water in a river. We are non-binary. We're not just girls. We're not just boys. We're both and everything in between.
Oh my God.
Everything makes sense. I understand more of who I am. I can share how I feel now. Aquí somos transgénero. Nuestro género
you're
no es
everything.
uno ni el otro. Fluye libre como agua en
This
un
is your
río.
community.
Es no binario.
Oh,
No somos solo niñas.
that's a
No
weird
somos solo
community.
niños.
I would-
Somos de los dos y de todo entre los dos. Todo tiene
No,
sentido.
thank you.
Ahora entiendo más de quién soy yo. Ahora sí puedo compartir cómo me siento. Esta es tu comunidad.
No,
This is your community.
no, no.
I learned it's okay to disagree with everyone who looks at me
disagree.
and says I am a girl. It's okay to say, I'm not just a girl or just a boy. I'm both and everything in between. Instead of she, you can just say my name or use they. Go ahead, try it.
No.
Aprendí que está bien estar en desacuerdo con todos
I
los
mean,
que
the
me ven y
Spanish
dicen que soy
language
niña.
is
Está bien decir,
gendered.
no soy solo una
Totally
niña
delusional.
ni solo un niño. Soy de los dos y todo entre los dos.
But yeah,
En vez
but
de
instead of
ella,
maybe helping
puedes
these kids
decir
learn English,
Everything is
Every-
everything
gender
in
is
his
gendered.
saying is gendered.
Many people understand that my gender is something for only me to decide.
No,
They ask what I'd like to be
not.
called. They learn to use non-binary words for me like they
No,
or
you
just
don't
my
get
name.
to decide.
They support me. Muchas personas entienden que mi género es mi propia decisión. Me preguntan cómo me gustaría que me llamen.
Go on. The next part
Pueden
like
usar
starts at
palabras no binarias para
7:45.
mí.
7:45. Okay.
Yeah, so if you skip a little bit ahead, but this one you'll know it when you see it. Go ahead, you can start right there.
Right.
Es que encontré amigues inteligentes, talentosas, hermosas y no binarios.
Non-binaries, yes.
We get together and do fun things like have barbecues, play games, build bonfires, go camping, go on bike rides, watch movies, attend protests,
Yeah, we
create
do.
films, take pictures of each other, dance a lot, cook food together.
Attend protests.
Nos
Yes,
juntamos
they
para
thrown
hacer
in
carne
there.
asada,
They always
jugar
have
juegos,
to
hacer
attend a
fogatas,
protest.
acampar, andar en bicicletas, mirar películas, hacer arte, participar en protestas, crear películas, tomarnos fotos, bailar mucho y cocinar juntos.
I'm going to show this to my
We
mom.
listen to each other, we believe each other, we celebrate each other.
Yeah.
Nos escuchamos,
Everyone
That's
nos
what
is
it
creemos
was.
so
a
ugly.
nosotros mismos.
It's
Why
just-
is
nos
everyone
celebramos.
ugly?
I grew up and became a teacher. I am a non-binary teacher. I teach my students about respecting all genders. We practice with each other. Crecí y ahora soy maestre. Les enseño a mis estudiantes a respetar gente de todos los géneros. Practicamos uno con el otro. I teach my students that non-binary people look, dress, and sound all kinds of different ways. I teach my students that it's okay to change and play with words to make them fit us.
No.
My students learn to call me Mix Lourdes because
Mix.
I am a mix. Les enseño a mis estudiantes que gente no binaria se ve, se viste y se oyen de distintas formas.
Mix.
Les enseño a mis estudiantes que algunas veces necesitamos cambiar y jugar con palabras un poco para que nos sirvan mejor. Mis estudiantes aprenden a llamarme maestre porque soy de los dos. And you too can decide for yourself. If you ever feel in your heart that you don't agree with what people say you are, remember that there are many of us out there cheering for you. Speak your truth.
Sure.
Live your truth.
Yep.
Y tú también
Yes,
puedes decidir por
Yep. That's
Yep.
what it is. I mean, this is pure indoctrination.
Yes.
It's just pure indoctrination. There's just no way around it. It's gross. You can decide if in your heart you feel, just it's just pure indoctrination. They're meant for, again, 5-year-olds to 10, 11-year-olds. This is so confusing for kids. So
Yep.
confusing. So confusing. If a girl's a tomboy and listens to this, they can start to question and think, oh, I don't play with dolls and all my friends play with dolls. Maybe I'm not like the other girls, and thoughts can start to intrude, and then they can become obsessive thoughts. And the same thing for boys. It's just, it makes me very, very angry.
Yeah. They're modeling the behavior. They're basically saying, this is what you do. If somebody says, hi, you're nice to meet you. I need another friend that's a boy. No, I'm not a boy. I mean, they're saying how you can object and what you ought to do. Force them to call you this and so on and so forth.
Yes.
That's how kids learn, modeling behavior.
Well, on a lighter note, I was pulling up because we were talking about, I'll share the screen. We were talking about kind of how the trend, it's okay to be fat, obese, that's beautiful too. And there's also a trend right now that is what people call the Ozempic scare.
Yeah.
And I have to show you, so Ariana Grande, who is really, I have daughters, so very popular, but they're just how skinny these girls are getting now. I mean, look at that.
Holy cow.
Look. And then, it's just this whole, oh yeah, look, it's,
Yeah. Then
so this is and do you see we're Xers, so we can say we remember Kate Moss, remember
yeah. She
that
was way.
super thin, I can pull that up, but that really, really thin look was in. But so when I was looking up before, it was all about these whole, what they're calling it, the Ozempic craze. And I think it's just more of this obsession with, it's really unhealthy things, an obsession with what's happening in pop culture and the ease, because instead of eating healthy and exercising and doing the hard thing, inject something into your stomach, it's fast. What are the studies done on these drugs? Ozempic is meant for people struggling with obesity and diabetes. And now if a Hollywood starlet wants to lose that last 10 pounds, they're going to go on Ozempic. And now at the last SAG Awards, which don't even get me started, Jane Fonda was given a Lifetime Achievement Award. Hanoi Jane,
Yeah.
Who went to North Vietnam
Yep.
and toured where our military members were they were in the camps in Vietnam, in Hanoi, and she went there and yelled at them and basically said, "Oh, they're being treated so well."
That's right.
I mean, it's so gross. My dad, who's a Marine, like hates her with the fire of 1,000 suns. But yeah, she went there to say that being woke is just giving a damn about people. That's all it is, and that Trump is a fascist.
That's right. I did see this.
Yes.
I did see this. This was right at the end. I saw a small clip of it. Yeah, it's just being woke, and Trump's a fascist.
Yeah, Trump's a fascist. But all of the women there are like, oh my gosh, they're all like skin and bones right now because they're all like just pumping themselves with Ozempic. And now we're back to that really gross, super skinny look, that gaunt. So it's just like, I can't wait till at some point that pop culture gets back to like, let's just be beautiful. But at least we have Melania Trump, who is so classy, and Ivanka Trump. And I was lucky enough to attend the inauguration, and I went to the presidential ball, and I was like right up front, and I saw all of the Trump family go on stage, and JD Vance and his wife, and so elegant, so beautiful, like that classic Grace Kelly style. And, I do think that normal people want beautiful, nice things again, but it's still our like the culture like this, Ariana Grande, like it's just so unhealthy and sick.
Yeah, no, it is. Not to mention that this stuff costs forever, but yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah, it's really expensive, but it's insurance is covering a lot of it. Insurance will cover it. I think if we've got a lot of Americans that are overweight, but it's not that hard to come by, and they're going to be making it into a pill. But I mean, maybe with now RFK Jr., things will be different. I'm very excited. I was never a granola because I've been a conservative my whole life, and I've always been healthy and exercise and ate moderation, but I never thought about all the chemicals in my food, and I always got my vaccinations because, you conservative, you do, that's following the rules, and you listen to the experts and the doctors. And so since COVID, I've had an awakening, and, I am pure blood, never had the COVID vax, never had the jab, did not get my kids vaccinated. And since then I've not had, I'm an adult though, so I've not had a need for any vaccinations, but I question everything now.
I know. I like, if you have your tetanus shot coming up at 10 years, like I'm not going to get that again. I don't trust the establishment anymore. I don't
know. And that's so hard because you want, there's so much disinformation, misinformation. You want your kids to have polio vaccines, all of that stuff. And now it's just doing all the research. If I had babies now, I had 5 kids. My youngest is just turning, my youngest is 12. So, my oldest is graduating medical school, so I've got a big range, and I'm so grateful that my kids aren't young, and I don't have to navigate all of this insanity, and I don't have to worry about children's books. I don't have to worry if they're being indoctrinated and they have access to all of this crazy stuff. We'll do this again, and I will show some books because, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just went nuts.
Normal. There's
on that list, and I had to show you those. So
Yeah.
thanks for indulging me. But
No, it's good. People need to see these books, and because listen, you don't want to. I bought them used, and I take them with me. I'm with Moms for Liberty. We go. Probably one of the biggest things that I do is when I bring, we bring our like bin of the bad books and put them out. And I have seen everyone grabs their phone. They're like, oh my God, is this in my kids' library? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I can't believe that this would be in a school library.
and being taught, like, the chances like that book getting pulled random from the library probably low. But like a LED story time and all the kids are singing and dancing around. Now you've got like an old school
Yeah.
ritual, right?
Yeah,
That reminds
there's
me
a
of like
difference
normal
between a
society.
public library if I'm taking my child to a public library, there's a difference versus the school library. And now
Correct.
I volunteered in my kids' schools, and I would volunteer sometimes twice a week. And the young ones have an opportunity to go to the school library twice a week, stay there, grab books. And I was one of the volunteers that would help get the books and then read them and and then they returned the books that they took from last week. And that is that is part of the day. The kids take out 2 or 3 books. And I never saw books like that.
Yeah.
Now there's a big shelf, Brian. And rainbows and stars, and the kids are drawn to it. It's right up front. And when it's Black History Month, instead of promoting books that would be that would be just like historical and inspiring, it's all Black Lives Matter. It's all this critical race theory. White people are evil. And there's one kid's book that I'm thinking of where, I forgot the name.
Anti-Racist Baby.
Yeah, Anti-Racist Baby by Ibram X. Kendi. There's a bunch, and they're just so there's a kids version of like the 1619 Project. Oh, yeah. There's not one like Not in My Name, and it's just, there's a bunch of these books that they're not celebrating great Black thought leaders and great Black athletes and pioneers and civil rights leaders. They are celebrating Marxists. They are often celebrating like Audre Lorde, who is like just a Black queer feminist Marxist. Bell Hooks, Ibram X. Kendi, rap stars, and that would be on a good end. They're not always celebrating. They're denigrating every other culture, especially the European culture. It's like, you're just
take a shot at Christianity whenever you can, especially Catholicism when they do it. It never surprises me. Thomas Sowell will never be in Black History Month.
No, Clarence Thomas, Walter Williams,
Shelby Steele.
Shelby Steele. Oh, I love Shelby Steele. And his son Eli Steele. He does a lot on X.
Zuby can't be held up. There's so many, and it's always like this. And every single piece of this is dripping with Marxism.
Yes,
right? Whether it's positivity, white men are making the code. Every part of this had at least one Marxist point, if not many.
Well, it's like Anne Rind. It would say that you've got this kind of this underclass, this kind of group of, like what Karl Marx, like just people that have, I think, that are resentful. They look at people that are successful and healthy and have, courage and strength, and they hate them. They hate them.
It's like a racial proletariat or a queer proletariat or a fat proletariat.
And so this small group, they want to bring down with all of their like all of these bad feelings and all of this resentment. They want to bring down everything that's good.
And they'll call it bourgeois, right? You have bourgeois ideas of
Yeah.
health. You have bourgeois ideas of gender. You have bourgeois ideas
They're-
of equality.
They're locusts, they're leeches, like, and they always like, I was gonna say, Ayn Rand said they have to find a host. And when they latch onto a host, they'll just suck it dry and then find another host. But we've typically in America, like the spirit of America has been that self-reliant, resilient, individualistic, equality, not equity. You know, and even if yes, listen, the history of America is far from perfect, but it's been sort of part of the story. And
Right.
you
Show me a country that has a perfect history.
yeah, and it's a continual evolution of trying to get better and better, and to the point where I think, you know, we as far as humans, we're living longer, we should be healthier, and we have so much advanced technology, but instead with all of that, we're eating garbage, we're feeding ourselves garbage, we have big pharma giving us medications we don't need, we've got a healthcare system that's not a healthcare system, it's like a death care system, or it's a system
terrible
that,
chronic disease. It's
Yeah,
it's good for acute care, right? If you get into an accident, it's great.
I
You know,
believe
you're
that, and I
fine.
never would have believed that before, but that it's that and listen, I think health professionals are great and noble, and they do so much good work. It's just that we've just got systems that are incentivized the wrong way.
Yeah.
We don't try to keep people healthy. We have a great system when people are sick, when they're really sick. And it would be great if we had a system that tried to keep them healthy so they didn't get sick. And, you know, they as Americans, we could live longer, be healthier, feel healthier, not swing.
Allow more dissent in
Yeah.
medicine. Allow dissenting voices, because the science says is not true. And you're seeing all of the COVID doctors rise to the top. The best ones did. And Jay
Yeah.
Bhattacharya, thankfully, was rewarded for this. And you know, that's the big problem is we have corrupt institutions. It's not individual doctors.
Well, because so many people are in medicine in my family, and I know so many doctors and surgeons, I know privately what they were saying, and privately they were trying to avoid the shots as long as they could. They tried. They did not agree with a lot of things. They laughed at the masks. They just didn't speak up because
just
they
didn't
didn't want to
speak
lose
up.
their job. And you worked in the healthcare system, so I think you know the
Yep.
same.
And they don't have like the independence that they used to. A lot of these guys used to be independent contractors. Now they're not, and they're owned. So they're fearing for their job more. And the place we see it the most is actually in transgender care, right?
Yes.
There is so much objection. The gold standard is a small amount of people. Most people know, but again, nobody would dare go to a WPATH meeting and present dissenting material. That would probably be the end of your career. That's why it's corrupt. And until that changes, and until there's some reckoning, I don't blame anyone for not trusting the system. I know I don't.
Yeah. No, I think, and you have to know, because again, with my family, for my son, how hard it is, what you have to do in high school to get into a good college, and then how hard you have to work in college while everyone is partying so that you can get into medical school, and then how hard you have to work in medical school so you could get into a good residency, and then how hard you have to work in residency. So imagine you go through all of that, and then what? Like, you're going to throw it all away. So the way that, and doctors are, it's just the way that they think, like there's a hierarchy, they follow the rules. But when
Which
you
makes
worked for
sense
so
when you're
hard,
training surgeons.
how can you throw
Right.
it all away? It's like, so they're like, but you just needed a group for them to come together. If enough doctors came together and they said, listen, we're all just going to stand together and we're going to say the truth. They can't fire us all. But it just, you couldn't, it was hard to just get
Risky.
one to
Yeah.
stand up, and it was easy to knock them off. It's like that story of the zebras when they marked one of the zebras. Jordan Peterson told it.
It doesn't work, right? The only way the zebra camouflage works is in mass.
Mhm.
If they can lock on to a single zebra, yeah, it's toast. It's confusing.
And that's what happened to Robert Malone
Yes.
and like so many of the, at least now they've been vindicated, but how much did they lose? And I think now that Trump is in office, things will be restored, but they've lost the medical license, they've lost everything. There's a famous orthopedic surgeon that was from Mequon, where I live, who got the COVID jab and
transverse myelitis.
Yes, and
I heard about this. Yeah.
Yes, so vaccine injured, can't stand, can't perform surgery, lost everything.
Yep.
And so we've got the first time I went to a hearing on vaccine injury, I was testifying about school related things and education in my state capital, and I had some friends that are like, you should stay and listen to these hearings on vaccine injury with Dr. Corey. And I stayed the whole time. It was like 3 hours, and I was like shocked at what I heard. I never heard these things. I didn't know that there was I didn't know about vaccine injury. I didn't know about,
and the lack of testing. Del Bigtree blasted the media not too long ago. There's a clip going viral of 9 minutes of him just blasting the media. And most people don't know that these vaccines are tested against other vaccines, not placebos. And what RFK is saying,
I didn't know that. That's actually something.
Yeah, they're testing them against other vaccines. So you don't have a control group, right? Where you just you take the arm and you inject saline, right? They don't do it because they call it unethical. So the rationale for doing this is, we know these vaccines are safe. So to do a control group would be unfair. It would be like if I was going to do a control group saying people with oxygen will do better than those. Well, it would be unethical for me to strangle everybody to prove that oxygen helps, right? So there's some treatments you can't withdraw, but that's what they do. It's a big problem. What RFK keeps saying is, I'm not anti-vax. He says, I just want these things safety tested. So he wants to go back.
That's how I feel.
Test them against placebo and see. And I'm like, look, if this vaccine is safe, it'll pass. Yeah. So why not run the test? Like, sure, it'll take some time and some money, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I want to know, because I have a kid on the autism spectrum. I want to know, did this have something to do with?
Correct. I'm sure that it's multifactorial. I'm sure seed oils and a whole host of other things, aluminums and stuff factors into it. It's unlikely that it's like vaccines only, but this is true with a lot of things.
I want to know about the food too. I want to know what's true, like the food dyes, the things like that. Just it's okay if it's okay if the cereal isn't quite bright red. I'd rather not be injecting myself. Fluoride in the water. Someone just told me about that. I was like, so I'm like, oh,
I don't know the research on it, but I know that that RFK is convinced that fluoride in the water is not unhelpful. And I believe he's saying it's an endocrine disruptor.
Yeah, I just want to, and if that's the case, like let's just do the ethical studies. Like, let's find out, if it's why we shouldn't be afraid to check and to properly vet things. And at
least half the country doesn't trust it.
My hope is that the COVID vaccines are taken off the market. I want them off the market.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got a whole bunch of people that don't trust the cops, then all right, well, you're going to have to do some proactive piece to whatever it is to maybe see if you can get more trust in them, right? If people don't trust the medical establishment for good or bad reason, you have to do these things. Like this would actually work. The other thing is why are we giving the Hep B 3 series to a baby. Maybe that should wait, or maybe only healthcare people should have to get it, or maybe it should get safety tested. All of
Yeah,
these things should
right.
happen.
Yeah, and then even some shots in vitro now. Now that was a new one. I'd
In
never.
utero?
Yeah, I've heard that sometimes there's vaccines they want to give in utero.
I had not heard that. Holy cow.
Yeah, I've heard.
That's
I
wild.
mean, I don't know how many. So we're not that. My friend Jamie, there's a couple of them. My friends, my friend Amber, they know all. They're always telling me like they know all the facts about what the vaccine schedule is, how that's changed. There's a lot I don't know about,
It's like
and I
17 total shots over, I think, up to 14. And one of the big ones is that the one for like viral meningitis, that can cause epilepsy, like that vaccine. And I think that's is on the schedule at 15 or 16, if I'm right. There's a creator on YouTube that she calls her channel My Seizure Free Life. She's hoping to be seizure free, but she's this beautiful young girl in her early 20s, and she has these horrible grand mal seizures that she films. Like you can see what it's like, and they're intense. And then you have the sequela afterwards that it's not just those few minutes that you seize. If they're really bad, you're knocked out for the next 2 days. Like you're going to be super tired.
Wow.
And she was absolutely 100% fine until she was forced to get that viral meningitis vaccine when she was 16 in order to go to school, and all of it started.
Wow.
Yep. I mean, that's clearly a vaccine injury, and hers is terrible, and she struggles with seizures, and you can check out her channel. It's worth checking out. But yeah, these things need to be tested.
And I think that when there is the chance for injury, that it has to be disclosed so people get to make that decision for themselves.
Yeah. Take the immunity away. Take away the indemnification. If these things are so safe, then we can sue. Don't tell me that these things aren't making a ton of profit. Pfizer tripled their entire sales because of the COVID vaccine. They're making bank, right? That I don't believe that argument at all. There is definitely room to test them. And yeah, if they're so safe, get rid of your indemnification like we do for every other drug. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's no surgery in the world that you can't sue for. You can always sue your surgeon if something goes wrong.
Yes.
You can't sue your vaccine maker.
Yeah. And then since they have made it impossible to sue them, there's been more vaccines like on the schedule for kids.
Pure profit. And that's how you get indemnification.
You can't sue me, then let's just load up and go. I mean,
the entire system,
the polio vaccine, measles, you don't want kids to, and if there has been a virus that have been eradicated or near extinct, like not a killer virus or going to cause major harm to a kid. And my son and I will talk about that. Like, yeah, you want your kids to be healthy and safe, and you don't want to put them at risk. But there's the way that vaccines are. Yeah.
And if you're a rep for Blue Cross Blue Shield, you're calling these physicians, reminding them of their vaccine targets and reminding them that the payouts until they hit the 80%, like, Dr. Smith, you're at 77%, you'll get the payout at 80%. That's where we need to be. So unfortunately, these physicians have their own livelihoods tied to this. So even if you do object, that's coming right out of your salary.
Oh,
that's a problem. That needs to change.
Oh yeah, there's some comments. Maha, someone's saying
I should check it out.
Keep your best of stuff in your own bedroom. Keep it away from kids. Someone, Craig. Thanks, Craig. You can show. Thank you, Brian Scott. Thanks, Craig. That's cool. I'm new to doing all this stuff.
Yeah, I should have pulled it up on here.
Yeah. Keep your nightmare.
I actually can't see him. Oh crap! Well, I think only you can see him.
Yeah.
I tried.
Some destinations don't get comments, but yeah, that's
okay.
Cool. Oh, look. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, you guys. Hey, great to
Hi.
be here. Hey.
We were just talking about
Going.
vaccines.
I went off on my rant about how the entire system is like pushes vaccinations and ties doctors' salaries to making quotas. You know, that it's if doctors had more independence, we'd be in way better shape. The only thing that we
Lately.
didn't see in like all of our, we watched a bunch of videos too about basically communist books for kids or Marxist books for kids, specifically on transgender, although there was every other form of Marxism was in there too. Although we didn't see any vaccine Marxism.
Yes, no vaccine Marxism. But yeah, the books were really were strange. Some of them strange, but very much indoctrination. He showed me a couple I hadn't seen, and I thought I've seen most of them. So,
Yeah.
but just the GSA clubs and how they are in Wisconsin and a lot of areas, and even in red states, you know, you're not safe just because you're
Right.
in a red state. Like
Yeah.
these clubs in high school, like if kids start them and they're after school, they absolutely can't stop them. But now they're putting them in during school hours in elementary schools.
In elementary schools. Yes, that is child abuse. I agree. Are they getting funding like out in California? Like if we were talking about this, like each of these things, like the more schools they can sign up, the more money they get. Are they getting this even more in California?
I mean, it's everywhere. I think it's rare to find a school that doesn't have this at this point, especially in California here.
Even your
The
elementaries?
CTA, oh yeah, elementary school is common. And it's also common for this to be incorporated and working, like I know in the county I live in, the county behavioral health and mental health works with the school system to incorporate that agenda completely, gender ideology in a
Wow.
very big way. And then obviously through the school-based health centers and so on and so forth. But I know the teachers union has been actively training for how to do this in the elementary schools, how to call it a different name, call it, I remember one training I watched where the teachers union was talking about calling it a name that sounds like science to the parents. So if the child says they've just joined a PRISM club, then in that way, it sounds like they've joined a science club. So the parents are left in.
It's
Yeah.
going to be something about Newton's optics instead of gender. Wow.
I'm gonna pull up that one thing that I had. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna pull up what I showed you earlier, Brian.
Yeah, Scarlett clipped together this clip of these guys talking and the obfuscation of what they're trying to do. And all throughout these, the handbooks, I read the GSA handbook, like Become a Leader. And they're constantly reminding you that you may not have to tell the parents that, you know, there's all kinds of legal safeguards for you to bring kids in, even if their parents object.
Oh yeah, and that's common too in the comprehensive sexuality education. The one I had reviewed almost a year ago in this region of California was referring students to a legal provider who could give them information on how to then emancipate themselves from their parents so that they could enter into guardian care or some kind of foster.
Wow.
And then be able to initiate those puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy's saying that New Zealand might be to blame for hormonal medical incorporation. Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but I do know like these hormone blockers were meant for precocious puberty. So, you know, that when you look at the Guinness Book of World Records and you see like what's the youngest person to have a child, and it's like this Chinese girl at 7. And you're like, how did that happen? Right? It's in the 1890s or something, but that's a precocious puberty piece. So you give this to delay puberty because early onset puberty is going to be harmful. These drugs are really harmful, but on balance, they're better for precocious puberty. But to give them to completely healthy people, you know, that's what's wild. And that we had the drugs. They didn't make them for transgender. They made them for precocious puberty. It's wild.
Oh, here, I'm
Yes.
gonna share this video, Kelly, here. Remind
Yes,
me.
our GSA started like December because some fourth and fifth graders asked for it. And then because I have no idea what I'm doing, but SJ and Cherie helped out a lot with questions of, well, first meeting, ask them, why did you ask me to meet? Like, what do you want to do? And then I've brought in different books thinking, well, they're going to be uncomfortable, not really know what to talk about. So have a book that can lead the discussion. Sometimes we've gone through different welcoming schools lessons because our school is not a welcoming school. So most of that curriculum hasn't been seen by the kids and they really latched onto it.
And so here's some of the curriculum.
I guess one question is, how to, message sis or work with administration who might be skeptical or unsure, and then also how to deal with that pushback.
I wonder what is skeptical.
I feel like we haven't had pushback. Or much pushback, that is. I mean, I think it's just one of those things like our policies and like the right to be able to have clubs. It just like anyone who would push back would be seen as like a homophobic transphobe, right? So
yeah, anyone who pushes back is a homophobic
So we have pushback from families who are also just religious reasons. They push back against welcoming schools as an idea because being gay is horrible and our kids can't talk about that. So
Strawman.
I think she's on here someplace, our social worker. And we met with the PTO, said, we are talking about this because there was definitely confusion. And I'm going to, yes, GSA, we're talking about it with your kids. We talk about kids to explain that everything that we're doing at this level, it's not like sex education. We're talking about be a nice person, love how you are, be respectful of everyone. And then we talked about, at one point in the gender snow person, you talk about, oh, the middle is who you love, and all the kids, regardless of their sexuality, just, ew, that's gross. You can't hold hands with people. Like, they're still kids. We're not talking about things that would offend families. Just had very long conversations of, these are the kinds of books you read. And we're talking about be nice and love yourself for who you are. And they kind of bought into that and stopped pushing.
Yeah.
Just family.
I fooled them.
Wait to this part.
Yeah.
And Cherie helped a lot with figuring out how to word that slightly gracefully with the families and smoothing it over, and just kind of wanted to walk in and just be like, shut up, we're doing this because it's good for your kids. But that's not how you should present it. That's the way to get more pushback.
Wow.
Yes, I know. Isn't that
That is
like,
so smarmy.
unreal? Like that they like said the quiet part right out loud. And you notice like there's that transgender like teacher there.
Which one? Oh,
That reminds me.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, we just saw, we went through a whole host of these books that they are reading. Yes, they are objectionable. They are more than just saying, be nice to people. If that's all they were, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah. But they're like, oh yeah, we're tell them it's about being nice and loving and kindness, and they'll buy into that. And then we'll get to like our real agenda.
Yeah, it's a complete bait and switch model aimed at, a lot of this too is rooted in queer theory. The idea that it is a political movement with its own ideological belief systems that believe that, this belief that everyone starts off as queer, and that they're on this marching order to really employ these ideas into the school system and completely replace any value system that may exist in the child from their family of origin.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's absolutely what they're doing.
Yeah.
The commenters talking about like Chris Morley and like Harry Sisson. I get to Beather to blame us for their bad tactics. Yeah. Like everything that's coming out of the other side always seems to be in unison. And what I'm surprised about is how the left can't seem to drop transgender. Like it's this tiny part of this. Bill Maher and other people like drop, but I don't think they can. I think this is like cutting off an arm. You can't do it.
Why do you think, Kelly? Why can't they let this go? Because they would be so much more successful if they would just say, okay, you know what? We went too far. All right. We're just going to back off of this.
I think it's multifaceted because I think for some people, it has the emotional appeal. For others, they've embraced the ideological aspect of this, rooted perhaps in queer theory. For others, it's this emotional idea that they're clinging towards, that they've bought into, that they completely and wholeheartedly believe. And then yet for others, it may actually, and I'm not even sure if everybody's ready for this conversation, but it also may be an aspect of to curb population growth. Because if as I've examined and looked into all of the, for example, comprehensive sexuality education curricula and organizations, and then their funders, if you look into their funders, many of them also support organizations that are openly seeking to control the population. And dating back, many of these groups were also seeking to do this. It's very interesting because I just got an email the other day from the Population Institute, which is a group that champions comprehensive sexuality education, which is really where we got widespread gender ideology to the next level.
Yes.
And in that Population Institute, they're talking.
Describe what comprehensive sexuality education is real fast, because some people, like, I didn't know 3 years ago. So what is it?
Yeah, so comprehensive sexuality education, I first learned about in December of 2018. And this is not, we've really gone in as a globe, as a country, from teaching sex through human reproduction and biology to really shifting it in a direction of safety, protection, how to avoid consequences, how to say no. A lot of people remember their childhood or middle school when they were having to carry around a bag of flour or a baby and see what that was like. But now comprehensive sexuality education is marketed as a way to be inclusive for sex education, so that everybody is represented in the teaching. But in actuality, it is yet another bait and switch model where it's marketed as this way to be accepting and inclusive, but what you actually get is so much more. What you're getting is essential components that include an idea called sexual citizenship, which is itself deriving from queer theory in a way, because one of the people who wrote about sexual citizenship, this man, David T. Evans, he himself was a student of queer theory. These ideas incorporate the fields of critical theory that we've been discussing, but there is a big emphasis on pleasure. And also, and a lot of people are fans of hearing this word consent, but they don't understand the way in which consent is taught through this curricula. So for example, we went from teaching students how to say no versus how to say yes, how to consent. And why is this so significant? Because kids already know, by and large, how to say yes. They do what the teacher tells them in class. They go to the next class, they have their break, they listen to their coaches, they are taught growing up to say yes, to listen to their parents, to be obedient. But it takes oftentimes a lot of courage for a child to gain that strength to say no and understanding their boundaries. So with the way in which consent, or oftentimes told enthusiastic consent, is taught in a comprehensive sex ed class, for example, they'll give the kids scripts and have perhaps a guest speaker that they've just met, and they're standing in front of their entire class, and 2 students come to the front of the room. And now they're taught to act out a sexual script, to ask permission of a sexual act of another student in front of the whole class with the guest speaker that they've just met, some random adult that oftentimes is not even background checked. to then do these activities. And the reason why that is concerning is because that takes actually some of the healthy boundaries that young people have, and it starts to erode them, because now they're doing a sexual act almost very similar concept to how people describe foreplay, but now they're doing these scripts that they've been handed through the curriculum, and they're acting it out, and they're asking, hey, I feel this way right now. Can I take your shirt off? Or, hey, we just went to a party and I feel like doing this. Can I take your shirt off? Or they watch these videos, and the videos themselves, like Planned Parenthood has a video about sexual consent, and that video is shown in middle school and high school curricula, but it shows people, touching each other's, body parts, and making out, and it shows it as pleasureful, which is actually part of those, like I mentioned, those essential components of comprehensive sexuality education. When somebody looks into not just those essential components, but the global organizations, think of this as like an umbrella, a top-down model. The global organizations right now are actually promoting pleasure. And they're actually even tweeting out how perhaps they should show porn in schools.
Yeah, that's right. And they want it to be what they call family-friendly porn, ethical porn.
Mm-hmm.
And they're super concerned about whether the sex workers get paid. And I was stunned. You showed me that video one time. I never thought family-friendly porn, you could ever have such a thing. Like,
yeah,
right.
And I'm showing some things like because CSE for elementary preschoolers, this was in the Wisconsin DPI website, and it's resources for gender expansive preschoolers. So it starts the very different thing about CSE, comprehensive sexuality education, is it starts really young, and it's a vehicle, like you said, through which you bring in queer theory and gender ideology. And some of the books we were talking about, Brian, are right here. I Am Jazz is one of them.
Yep.
And then all of these resources. And this is part of that CSE curriculum. So it's not just about, puberty in 6th grade. It's about indoctrination very, very young.
Yep.
Right. And that's absolutely, it's interesting because when we, many parents and community members challenged the update to the health framework in California in 2019, the media kept reporting and the state board of ed kept saying, well, this is just a framework. It's not required. It's optional. We're not mandating any of these things. But what happened now is right now they're trying to make that framework required.
Of course.
Yes. And they're doing it in Maryland too. Here are some of the books. I mean, the shows and their cartoons, Amaze videos. That's part of Advocates for Youth 3 R's. And look at what is asexual, what is sexuality, sexual orientation, behavior and identity, pride compilation, LGBTQ family. What are pronouns? These are all books that are part of, they're part of SEL, social emotional learning. They can be embedded into all sorts of different curriculum, and they're part of comprehensive sexuality education.
Yeah, I remember doing a public records request, and Amaze videos were in the ethnic studies curricula.
Wow.
That I received. Mm-hmm.
Look at gender identity. This one's for 4th graders, being male, female, transgender, or gender fluid. So 3rd and 4th graders.
Putting on the makeup too, like the lipstick.
Oh, here's one.
Yeah.
Steps to using condoms correctly, 6th and 7th grade. And look at this.
Yeah, they often do condom relay races. Actually, when I was a teenager, this was
my
high school.
God, I can't believe this. For 6th graders?
Yeah. Actually, I had a mom who went to elementary school in San Jose, and she told me that she had to do this in 3rd grade.
Jeez.
No. Oh my gosh. making DEI in condoms, making sure that the skin tone is correct.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Well,
You know that
and the
leads to
other
a
thing,
deal somewhere. Somebody's making brown condoms and selling them for like $5 a piece and making bank.
Oh my gosh, make sure with your sex ed policy, make sure you have models and materials that reflect your students' range of skin tones.
Incredible.
so sometimes in the curricula, they advertise these texting apps for students so that they receive a weekly text. And many moms subscribe just to see what these weekly texts would look like. And sometimes it was encouraging students with a craft. So for example, the craft was how to make earrings out of condoms, and all kinds of topics like this. It is an introduction, and oftentimes this introduction is just to advance a school to sterilization pipeline of some degree. And
Yeah.
and that's the interesting thing. The curricula I reviewed a year ago actually
Population
taught
Institute.
students to go to the clinic and talk to the provider without their parents.
This was
Oh, what?
this is for second graders. I mean, and the X is something that I put on. I mean, that's just crazy. This is second graders.
Oh, Amaze.
Yeah, no, this is part of CSC.
Okay.
This is their curriculum. This is straight out of the curriculum right here. This is for K through second grade, kindergarten. And look at what it says. The vagina has great elasticity. It can adjust to the size of a penis and allow. This is for little kids, little children, 5 to 7 years old. They do not need to know this.
Yep. We talked about that clip earlier, though, because there
Oh,
is
yeah.
no age. Was
Oh,
said.
yeah.
There's no age in
Look.
which we can't talk about this.
Look at Brian. They're talking about boners. Oh my gosh. This is crazy.
Well, and
Was-
they will say that they're still about safety, but in reality, when I reviewed the curricula a year ago, that was an interesting piece because safety was very minimized. If they're so about safety, even teaching students about anything regarding safety was minimized and glossed over very quickly. Most of the curricular content was unproductive, unhelpful, and filled with errors. So a lot of this is just fully an agenda. Advocates for Youth started in 1980 as the Center for Population Options, and some of their leaders were also involved in trying to reduce the population. It's really interesting because historically, it's called demography research. A lot of people were actually seeking ways in which to curb population growth.
Yeah, the Club of Rome
So
was.
they started taking the US Census data and analyzing that to target certain communities and age ranges. And it was always the adolescents that were targeted for this. And so unironically, we have, ages 12, where a lot of parents start to see that a lot of this agenda really takes root. That's when parents are losing access to their child's medical records, et cetera. And it is ages 12 until the early adult years where the population control activists are still to this day after curbing that growth. So, but in the mix with that is this radical agenda, which is where you get SIECUS, the Sexuality Information and Education Council of the United States. And their whole model is sex ed for social change or sex ed for racial justice.
Yeah,
So they're using this in many ways.
Yeah, right here. It was one of the posts. Amaze videos are free and adjacent to the Advocates for Youth curriculum. They're meant to provide child-friendly resources and supplemental materials for CSE teachers in classrooms. And SIECUS is behind all of this.
SIECUS is one of the big organizations, as is Advocates for Youth. And Advocates for Youth, again, they are the ones that manage amaze.org. And
Mm.
from a lot of these organizations began with staff who started at Planned Parenthood. So SIECUS started with Dr. Mary Calderon, and she got seed money from either Hugh Hefner or Playboy or both. But a lot of this, even Advocates for Youth, when it started as the Center for Population Options, they were also being driven by somebody who had worked for Planned Parenthood and took this project on. And this is actually exactly how Planned Parenthood operates. They have former staff that will start a new organization or get involved with a club. So for a lot of parents, for example, they might get their daughters into a certain club, or a girl might join Girls Inc. clubs. And oftentimes those clubs are being used in the school system to then promote Planned Parenthood. So if you can't get them through the curriculum, if you can't get them through the clinic, you get them through the clubs.
Wow. Are there going to be any funding cuts? Like, is SIECUS all getting funded at the state level for you? Because Scarlett and I were wondering about how these Trump EOs are going to potentially affect funding.
Well, that'll be interesting to see, especially because there's so much money in the private sector that is still willing to help support all of these organizations. So even though they demand the money from the federal and state governments, it's possible that they're still going to succeed. There's one organization called DKT International, which has a variety of funders that help fund these endeavors globally.
But at least if it's coming out of Soros' pocket, not mine, then that's at least a small win.
Happy National Freedom Week, guys.
Wow.
Wow.
I missed that.
Yeah. Look at this. This is all from Advocates for Youth. Condoms aren't just for a fun time. Oh my gosh.
What are
There's that word consent again, because it's only about permission and it's only about saying yes. It's never emphatically talking about how to say no.
Right.
Which is often treated as a bad thing. There's an amazing video about virginity, I think it is. And in the video, the character that is abstinent is portrayed as the nerdy religious girl with a bunch of acne. So there's all of this subtle marketing in these videos.
Yeah, look, and then see, there's the activism, how we fight back, how we organize, save the HIV funding. This is all like political organization. Look, these are all activists. And look at check out the Trans Affirming Schools Project, our comprehensive guide and direct response to the onslaught of anti-transgender disinformation and legislation in the United States. So and Advocates for Youth gets funding from, they got funding from HHS, correct? Or was it
a lot of money comes from HHS, and the CDC has been working with many of these different groups as well. I mean, the CDC
under
DASH
HIV,
program,
right? Like HIV prevention.
Under like the whole schools, community schools, I saw the CDC all over that.
Right. Yeah.
Trans healthcare is like living care.
Yeah, and then they're calling this disinformation straight up. Not even misinformation. They're calling it dis.
Yeah. We will never stop fighting for transgender young people's right to thrive. Yep. Yep. This is a curriculum that is
celebrates their power, Mark.
For free. This curriculum is promoted. It's promoted by the Wisconsin State Education Department, or DPI. It's promoted. They say it's the gold standard, and they provide it for, quote, free in Wisconsin because it's funded through the IDEA, the individuals with the disabilities tactical. I'm a little tired right now, but yeah, that is funding for kids that have disabilities, that are autistic, that have a learning impairments or real disabilities. That's what you think of when you think of the IDEA funding and you think of funding for kids with disabilities. You aren't thinking that it's going to fund a sex ed program or fund GSA clubs or to go to fund kids that identify as trans, because being trans is a disability. I don't understand that.
I think it's interesting because I heard that another mom was looking into 504 plans and was finding that schools were trying to use those plans to change a child's name and pronouns at the school site under the radar. And so it's ultimately what we're dealing with is so many of these various issues that all encapsulate together. And then what the teachers are doing, the activist teachers, which unfortunately there are many good teachers too, but what they're doing is just seeking to change names, hide things. They are they feel like they are being socially just by hiding things in order to carry out their plan.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. They think that they're saving lives, they're doing something noble. We were talking about that. Like, why would they do this except for that it's a savior complex? There's like, and that the trans child is like Indiana Jones and the hunt for the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like the treasure, the Lost Ark, and if they find it, it's like, oh, like,
what's fighting the devil,
like, oh my gosh, like I found one, and now I'm going to be this kid's savior, and then that's going to make me feel special. And maybe if because a lot of teachers, and this is just statistics, they tend to be white women, and I think white women feel that they don't want to feel like they're bad people, and they've been kind of brought up in this system with CRT to think that they were inherently bad and they've got to rid themselves of this sin. And if they become this very empathetic person that will take care of the most disadvantaged children, that somehow this kind of washes away that sort of guilt that they feel. And they also feel superior, right? Like they feel better than everyone else.
Yeah. And I think you want to fight the devil, like rebuking the devil. Like if you're saying, like the certain Christian prayers where you specifically rebuke the devil. Daryl Cooper pointed out, and I thought this was a pretty good concept, that he says, if you're like an edgy teenage boy and you're like 16, he goes, what would you do if you kind of want to really rebel against your parents or kind of like push the envelope? He's like, are you going to like tell them that you're going to go to a seance or break out a pentagram? He goes, no way. That's totally cringe. Like religion is not the kind of activating nerve center for society anymore. In fact, he says what it is the narrative of World War II. Like the standard narrative of World War II is the nerve center. And this is why everybody is Hitler, right? Because Hitler's the bad guy. And if you appease and try to cut a deal, now you're Chamberlain and you're the appeaser. So because everything's like this is why, like the kid, if you're a 16-year-old kid, you're going to go back to your parents and show them Mein Kampf. That's actually edgy because pentagrams aren't. And I think Hitler has replaced the devil in our modern society. I wholly believe, I agree with Daryl Cooper there. And I think that's what they're doing. They feel like they're fighting the devil.
Daryl Cooper, he's the guy that would like talk to KKK members and actually like.
No, that's Daryl Davis. Daryl Cooper is actually the guy that went on Tucker Carlson, got canceled for, talking about World War II.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, I think that I think then you start to get in some of this stuff where James Lindsay, you get to this woke right where it's
Yeah, I don't think he's woke right personally, just because I've listened to so much of his content and it's impressive. I've never seen a story on Jonestown so good. He did 31 hours on Jonestown, and I used to think that it was about religion,
Yeah.
and it was mostly about communism. Like there was very little religious content, but there was a ton of Marxist content.
Oh, I don't know much about him. I don't like any sort of any kind of sympathy towards Hitler, or like maybe like I am like hard pass, hard no. Like I don't. I think that I don't want to rewrite history to make that maybe somehow misunderstood or something. Like just like he's truly evil, communism's truly evil,
Oh, yeah.
we're all truly evil.
And then and everyone agrees on that. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't think, like, it used to be God and the devil that was, you would rebuke the devil and lean to God. I think now what you do is you rebuke Hitler. Hitler is the devil. And I think that's why they're calling everyone Hitler.
Yeah. I just think that I think people just haven't read enough history anymore, and they don't. They kind of just regurgitate what they've been told, and they don't fully understand that Hitler was obviously evil and horrible, but it's like the only bad guy they know. They don't understand that there is a whole cast of terrible people, including communist Mao.
And different levels. Like Putin is a dictator, but he's not Hitler. Not everyone. Xi Jinping, he's not necessarily a good guy, but he's not Hitler. Like that.
They don't know Stalin, Pol Pot, Castro. There's a whole lot of pretty terrible modern day tyrants, and it's.
My point is too. In World War II, we won. Like, it was a complete domination, right? Unconditional surrender for Germany and Japan. And if your narrative of life is World War II and Hitler, then it's a complete unconditional surrender. So like there is no compromising. I just feel like that people have just taken that into the religion, don't understand any historical context, and you get this crazy activist world that we have.
Mm-hmm. So Kelly, what is the most recent thing you're working on?
I've been a little bit on community schools. I've been looking into the queering of mental health and the queering of healthcare. Queering social emotional learning. I was looking at a little bit today. And then ethnic studies, liberated ethnic studies is on the move yet again, as that will not let up. Then another thing I was happy of, one thing I wanted to mention, did you guys already talk about that new website launched today? The DEI reporting line?
We didn't. That's actually positive news. So let's talk.
I'll bring something good. If you're watching this live stream.
Yes, I'll pull it up too. I'll pull it up.
Okay, good. Yeah. The U.S. Department of Education has launched a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion reporting line for schools, for publicly funded K through 12 schools. So you can go to nddei.ed.gov and report your district that's likely still doing this. I had somebody ask me a question today on social media, they said, Kelly, can I report culturally responsive teaching on this website? And I said, in my opinion, absolutely yes. Again, it just has to fall under diversity, equity, and inclusion. And these ideas are neo-Marxist, in addition to other ideologies. So fill it out.
Yeah, here we are, right here. Oh my gosh, there'll be a lot to fill out here. But going right here and look. It's right here.
No, this is great. It says Tiffany Justice urged parents to, quote, share the receipts of the betrayal. I love that. This is a betrayal. And so they included critical race theory, rogue sex education, and divisive ideologies.
Wow.
And people have been exposing how once this was enacted, so I think it was Frank McCormick, who tweeted today that he had exposed how, let me find it. After I leaked the letter of intent to defy Trump's executive order on DEI from Waukegan Schools DEI director, she changed her title to Director of Student Access. So,
Here it is.
and yep, there it is. So I think, that's another example. Report that.
Yeah.
Report that to that website.
Yep. And they're going to do that. They're going to change. They're going to change the names. They're going to do all that stuff. Yeah, this is
No, this
crazy.
is great.
Some good news. I mean, there's a lot of work I have to do now.
Yeah. The funding racism with tax dollars, and this is just the most obnoxious thing I could imagine.
Yeah, this is, I mean, now we're not, so I've been posting on, I think they're probably tired. They're like, oh, I'm so sick of all the tags that we're getting. Just kind of post your stuff there. Look, there's someone asking, are there any good aspects of 504? Dad Republican says her kid has a rep that helps her in school. Yes, there are good aspects of 504 plans. My kids have benefited from them. I have a child that has benefited greatly from her IEP and 504 plan. And I am in a relatively good public school district. And then I have my youngest in a choice school that is also very good. So I have very positive experiences with education, with the teachers, and with, so that's why I want to give props to educators that are doing their best. And most of them, I think, want to do their job. I think it is a smaller group that are activists. And I think, though, it's the institution as a whole that has issues that need to be fixed. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, it needs to be fixed. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of really good teachers who are discouraged because they went into the teaching profession, many of these good teachers, to encourage to see a child have that light bulb go off, and I mean, I actually just tonight when I was at the grocery store, I ran into my 7th grade history teacher, and it was the first time I've seen her since the 8th grade. I have so many fond memories of that history class, and being a mom to a 7th grader right now, I've been thinking of this teacher, and it was so neat to see her. But I think a lot of teachers sought the teaching field as a way to inspire and see a child, learn to read and write incredibly well. And then what's happened is a lot of these politics have entered, and even some of the processes. I mean, I know teachers that are having to input data and spend all of this time on other things that really consumes their time and energy, so that their actual teaching time is.
Yeah, Daniel Buck has been posting on this. Beanie, a lot of the education accounts I follow have just been said its time is so precious in a classroom, and there's so many things that are being wasted. Some other good news: Iowa will be the first state in the nation to remove gender identity from its civil rights code.
Oh, wow.
First time that Iowa used to be a trifecta of Democrats. It used to be Democrat governor, Democrat state Supreme Court, and Democrat House and Senate, so their legislature. So, and now they are a super red state with super majorities of Republicans in their state house. They've got a conservative state Supreme Court, and they have Governor Reynolds. Still, this bill did not just sail through. It took a lot of pressure from Moms for Liberty members and from grassroots activists all throughout the state to get this passed through the lower and the upper houses in the state. And here you can see also this is what happened.
Yeah, of course. They're filling the
And then look at
Just coming in making a ruckus.
Yeah, they stormed the building and they tried to disrupt the process. They're also the same group, I guess, is going to be going to Minnesota.
So
And
these people are paid then.
yes, they are. They're bused. I think they're also probably going to be coming to Wisconsin because very soon we're going to be introducing legislation regarding ending the use of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries on minors, and then bills to enshrine the protection of girls' sports and their spaces into our statutory law.
And that's the thing. Do you notice the title of that? If you scrolled up, it says like transgender protections removed.
Yes.
And just that framing, right? Like it strips it. No, it actually is going to protect young girls from not having to change in front of the
You're right.
TV.
That's a good point. Transgender protections removed.
Yeah, they're all trying to frame the message their way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting with these protests because that is something I've been trying to encourage the public awareness of more and more and more, is that many of these protesters are fake. They're paid.
Yes.
It's no different when you see somebody with a sign and they're waving it because their store is going out of business and they're paid to hold the sign and wave it all day. These protesters, same story.
Yep.
Many of them might be paid to agitate as well.
No, I'm sure they are, and especially if they're going there. Yeah, so these aren't Iowans. Who knows where they're from? But yeah, if they're going to go to Madison and they're going to bust them up, they're like, yeah, these are activists.
Yeah. And then it's interesting because as James Lindsay says, the issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. And many of these activists, if you actually find one of their social media accounts, it's like they do different activist gigs. So one day they're doing the activist gig of Moms for Liberty and the National Summit, and then another day they're doing an activist gig for their anti-Israel protest. So these people, they just wear all these different hats, and really because it is more about, for them, socialism, communism. That's what they are.
And he
really
calls it. Doesn't he call it like planned spontaneity? When you have all of this plan, but then it appears to be just grassroots, and that's so like busing people in is the planned part.
Yeah. Well, and it's because socially, this is a whole social aspect of it. It's effective because people tend to see a big group. And it either causes intimidation of those who are standing, against or for something on the other side, or it causes people to have this public persona that there's so much support.
Yes.
And there's a small frame.
This is just a handful of the people. Right.
Yeah. And that is an interesting tactic, by the way, on a side note, that I've seen school districts do, is they often tell parents, even in situations where I knew that many parents complained about something, the district tells parents, oh, it's very interesting. You're the only one who's told me this. And it is, I have known so many parents who have been told this. But yeah, it's that social kind of intimidation, like they will back off. They're more likely to back off if they see a crowd, if they're not part of a group, it's harder to stand alone.
Yeah.
So if they give people the persona that they are standing alone, they're trying to get you to back off. All the more to just be courageous and just not be afraid.
More obfuscation.
Mm-hmm. Of all of the live on X right now that I'm showing, we have the highest amount of people watching.
No way.
Yeah. So thanks, guys. But for our insanity, it's like almost 1 a.m. for me.
I know.
I have to get up at 6. Yeah, I know. It's like
Scarlett. That Seekis thread that I did a while back. Could we take a look at that?
Sure.
Let's see.
Let
me send it to you.
I can. Yeah, let me see. Here's your account right here.
Okay, let's see.
That's Glenn Beck.
Yes. He is so nice. He was so nice.
Yeah,
Smart
he is.
man.
Oh, he's so smart.
Oh, here it
Here,
is.
Yeah,
I am going to
put it in
send
the
it
chat.
to you.
Put it in the chat, the
Okay.
private chat, and then I can pull it up super fast.
Okay. Oh, now I have to figure out technology.
I might be able to find here. I'll
Copy and paste.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to find it. I'm going to figure this out. I'm determined.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Twitter search that's one bad thing about it. It's like it's not so good.
Here's the SICUS here, but yeah, it's not very good. It really isn't. Here, from Kelly. This is how I need to do it. I am spelling it right. No, how do I spell it? I'm not spelling it right.
SIE.
SIE.
SIECUS.
There we go.
That's it.
This it?
And then further down, I think it is further. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, there it is. This one. That one
This
right
one
there.
here?
If you click the thread, that April 13th, 22. Yeah, that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's interesting because again, we're talking about sex ed is a vehicle for social change is what they're talking about, but it dates back there to 1964 with Dr. Mary Calderon and the
Wow.
I was just looking because I just bought her book. I bought the book of the story of her life. It's very interesting.
I'm not sure who she is.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard that name. I
Well,
thought I
then
knew all the names.
Well, what's really interesting about her is that it just well, Kelly, you go ahead and tell. Like, just you talked about her, and I got the book, and it was just really interesting to see how she. To be honest, if we did what she did, but for our side, like how just a determined grassroots effort was able to pull off all that we see now.
So she's the first medical director of Planned Parenthood, or female director, anyways, 1953.
Yeah. And a lot of this dates back to then. There it is. Sex ed is a vehicle for racial justice and for social change. So the interesting thing about social change is there's social change theory. And so again, we're interacting with phrases and terms. And I just started being curious. I wonder if this is a theory. So I started searching social change theory and just started randomly putting words together when I was searching. But oh yeah, SICUS is recommended there. It's interesting. After this article, that JAMA Network link about Playboy and or Hugh Hefner funding financial support, that article used to be public. It's no longer public, but it is probably accessible on the Wayback Archive. But this was an interesting piece that SICUS held these webinars, one of which was intended for students, but they were sponsored by BVibe, and BVibe is the sex toy company. And the woman that introduced this is the head of SICUS. She actually worked in the Obama administration. Not many people know that, but it's very interesting. And there's the press release from the erotic website to talk about the partnership with BVibe. So many people aren't aware the people that are driving comprehensive sexuality education, the actual people that are behind all of this, it actually reminds me of a lesson my mom taught me. I remember 1995, we got our first computer, and like the dial-up internet. And the big thing in the mid 90s, late 90s online, when the internet was new to a lot of families, was chat rooms. People were getting into chat rooms. And I remember my parents, my mom especially, saying, you can't be in chat rooms. It's not safe. You don't know who you're talking to. They might say they're this, but you don't know if you're actually talking to someone your age. because you can't see them. And I was told all about safety and why this isn't safe. Well, in the same way, our curricular companies, the people that have these public-private partnerships and get their curriculum into the school system are much like the people in those chat rooms. You have no idea who's writing the curricula for your kids in the schools. And when you look at SECUS and you think of their widespread influence, and then you think, oh, they're tied to the sex toy industry. They're actually partnering with it for their video series. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, Calderon wanted sex consent education in kindergarten. I don't know.
Oh, there she is. Yeah.
Kindergarten consent.
And we are so excited to be able to partner with B-Vibe, whose mission aligns so closely with ours.
Oh my gosh.
And I want to also
So
just
closely with
reiterate
ours.
that the proceeds from SECUS, and this is a series of virtual armchair discussions that is sponsored by B-Vibe, that explore sex education as a vehicle for social change with leading experts in the field. B-Vibe's
Leading
core
experts
mission is to
of ass play.
empower experts.
I mean,
What are
that's
the
like
experts?
who the experts. We're gonna,
Experts.
we're
Experts.
gonna use sex toys for social change. Sex toys for social change.
Right.
Oh my god.
Well, and this was just to try and
And talk about harm. Like, like somebody's gonna like rip something open with a butt plug. You know it.
Ew. Sex positive.
I know, but like this is like I don't do no harm.
It's fun.
We've let go
Right.
of do no harm.
Let's try.
Advanced comprehensive sex ed programs and policies. That was a mouthful. All right. With all of that out of the way, I'm so excited to turn to our speakers and get started. We are joined by this evening by some amazing experts in the field. I would love to introduce Dylan Caput. Dylan Caput, they, them, is a queer, trans, non-binary autistic Jew.
Oh my
They're
god.
passionate about disability justice and queer and trans
Queer
liberation.
trans son.
Dylan graduated from Bernard College of Columbia University with a BA in education, Teachers College of Columbia University with an MA in special education,
Teachers College of Columbia University, pay attention to that.
federal, state, and local governments and schools, to advance comprehensive sex ed programs and policies. That was a mouthful.
It was
All right.
awful.
With all of that out of the way, I'm so excited to turn to our speakers and get started. We are joined by this evening by some amazing experts in the field. I would love to introduce Dylan Caput. Dylan Caput, they, them.
Wow. That was a lot.
Yeah, this was one of their speakers. And
Robin
another
Wilson Beatty.
Pimp Gimp.
Oh, Pimp
disability
Camp.
advocate. Mhm. That expert spoke about BDSM and kink in that
Oh my
podcast.
god. Well, I don't even know what some of this stuff is.
What does it say? I can barely read it.
Kane disclosing Kane masturbate Tinder.
Keen? Hang on, I'm gonna try to blow.
Loving yourself and our brains as a sexual organ. Oh my gosh, this is all so weird.
Spinal cord injury, sex with
Queer,
paralysis.
trans,
I know. I'm just like I don't even know how I look on the live stream because I'm just like
Hmm.
to the screen reading this like so shocked. This is crazy.
Well, and
Killer
this was interesting because
Fang? What is that?
What?
so
What is
this is from Stanford University, but the reason why I put this here is because the content that I found on this Stanford University website is not different from what you find in the middle schools or the high schools.
Mm.
I had a middle school Planned Parenthood comprehensive sexuality education curricula that was referring young kids not just to Scarleteen, but this AASECT organization. And AASECT is particularly a strange website to refer middle schoolers to because it's typically of the CSE, that's comprehensive sexuality education, advocacy groups that even get credits through that organization. But the content on the AASECT website is very explicit and graphic. They even had under their conference of AASECT a session about age play.
Oh God.
It was also
Oh.
called, there was another one called The Heaviest Weight, and it was referencing what they call minor attracted persons. And
Oh God.
why are our kids being sent to these websites? The other thing I told parents who were reviewing this curriculum, I said, pause everybody. I said, did you see that hashtag? And I had to explain how a hashtag is different and how it operates, because not everybody, even older millennials, don't all know how a hashtag operates. But I said, it says right there, sex ed 4, the number 4, life. And then another one said sex, capital SEX dash ed, the number 4, life, all one word. And so we saw these repetitiously on several pages, and I told the parents to pull out their cell phones. And I said, I want you to search these on the hashtags on social media, and I want you to search the term on Google or whatever search engine you use. And the first thing that came up was porn every time for everyone in the room.
So if there's a hashtag, that could be porn.
Well, and the search, so the
They're
term
using a
that
hashtag that's commonly associated with porn for their stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and then the other thing I told parents is I said, I want you to imagine that you work for a big company and you're preparing a marketing plan for a Super Bowl commercial. You have to think about the lighting, the music, the images that are going to be flashing on the screen, how fast it's going to be flashing on the screen. You have to think about the setting, the weather, every single layer of an onion, detailed, the tone, the narration, all of this. And I said, I want you to analyze student curricula in the same way. What messages are you picking up? What subliminal messages are you gathering? What characters? What's the dialogue like? What's the tone like? Pay attention to these things. What's on the wall behind the character? I've watched some of these Amaze videos. I remember Brian and I even had a conversation about one, because if you watched it a couple times, you started picking up on other subliminal messages that were inserted.
You can see. So I'm sure you have, like, here's some of the Amaze, but look, Advocate Youth Amaze videos.
And always creepy pictures. The creepy pictures are everywhere.
So creepy.
And they pay kids.
Is that a furry? Did you see that? Go back. Look at that. Look at the kid in the bottom right. What's that?
You mean the penguin? Or
yeah, it's like penguin.
That's a furry.
I don't know. It doesn't look human.
It's. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Do you have this? Do you have any of the? This is one I talked about. This one. What is pleasure? Oh.
So this is again one of those essential components of CSE is pleasure, and actually the reason why I always call CSE comprehensive sexuality education is because the term sexuality in the framework document references a definition by the World Health Organization that, in that definition under sexuality by the WHO, includes pleasure and eroticism. So when they say we're teaching sexuality education to your kindergartner, that incorporates pleasure and eroticism by design. And the WHO is 100% on board with this. The International Planned Parenthood Federation, the WHO, and an organization called the Pleasure Project are working in concert to develop and sign on to these pleasure principles and really talk about driving education towards pleasure.
All right, I'm going to play this video. So people, get ready.
Are you playing?
Whoa, hold on. I'm going to play it again. Sorry. It's the wrong thing. Hold on. I'll play it in just a second. I thought I could hear it, and I thought everyone else could. Share. All right, here we go.
Misu, my love, every moment with you is filling me with a sensation of joy. You are a desire coming true.
Pleasure is a feeling of happiness, satisfaction, or enjoyment. Often, people describe pleasure as something that feels good in their body, mind, heart, and soul. People find pleasure in many ways. Some people find it in movement, through dance, sports, yoga, or in the smell, touch, and taste of food. Many people also find pleasure in romantic and sexual relationships. Pleasure in relationships can come in many different forms, like a partner listening to your wants and needs, communicating openly and honestly, and sharing intimate feelings. Pleasure in relationships can also come from intimate touch, such as holding hands and kissing. And when both partners are ready and have expressed consent, pleasure can come from sex. And for some, masturbation can feel pleasurable. Some people masturbate, and others do not. Either way is normal. Sometimes when people engage in sexual behaviors with others or alone, they have an orgasm, sometimes called climaxing or coming. An orgasm can happen at the peak of pleasure moment during sexual activity. For many people, an orgasm can be felt throughout their body, and their genitals may feel warm or tingly. And a person might ejaculate. Some people have orgasms, and some don't. But people often feel pleasure during sex, even when they don't have an orgasm.
That better not hit him.
What's important to remember when engaging in sexual behaviors with others is that no one should pressure another to participate in sexual behavior that they are not comfortable with. If someone pressures you to do something that doesn't bring you pleasure, it's okay to say no. As a person gets older, they begin to understand, through their experiences and connecting with others, what brings them pleasure and what does not. Experiencing pleasure can come in many different forms and is a joyful part of being human.
Don't forget to visit me
You
at abuse.org or go to my YouTube channel to watch more.
Hold on.
Bye.
Whoa. Whoa.
What's really interesting is that right in the way that they frame that video, at the beginning, they're talking about all the different aspects of pleasure. And then they show this couple in this cartoon experience and they talk about you must get consent. But then at the end of the video, they wait towards the end and then they mentioned it's okay to say no. It's very different from, you must get consent versus let's save it to the end that it's okay to say no. It's interesting because even when I was looking through Planned Parenthood sex ed curricula, when I first started examining this in 2019, I was reading on their website about abstinence, and you actually don't read about abstinence on their website without a promotion for sexual activity, in the sense that they talk about abstinence in outer course. So,
how to like
actually well, and they're like they have a very almost like an approach that abstinence is like this bad thing. That's how they treat it. Remember that video you exposed, Scarlett, of the Planned Parenthood woman that was like,
oh yeah, the virginity.
She was basically saying it's like a thing of the past.
And it's like dumb. It's old timey. It's Laura Ingalls Wilder. Like be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And then they show if there's actually one of the Amaze videos when they're talking about so you think you're pregnant, that's the one. And pregnant, like going to see an abortion, going to Planned Parenthood and getting an abortion, normal. Like going to this weird, creepy religious place where they're going to tell you to keep your baby. Oh, stay away from them. Like, don't talk to them. Make sure you go find a trusted adult that will keep you away from all those creepy, like religious people that might want you to keep your child.
It's really interesting because it was, I believe, the New York Times who did a story recently about the big concerns at these Planned Parenthood clinics, because Planned Parenthood's dealt with lawsuit, botched abortion, all kinds of sanitary issues in their clinics. I've heard stories from different people who have had experiences. I know a doctor that said that the level of care that he saw at the clinic was the equivalent to like third world care, which is concerning. Yeah, I mean, they love to call, certain groups fake clinics, but when you can't keep the sanitation right and you have people with botched abortions and things like that, who's the fake clinic now?
Point. Like, just to prove this, here's that proof, Kelly. Can you see that? I just put up this draft on the screen share. This is like the World Health Organization defining sexuality. Emphasizes not only the need for a positive approach, but the essential aspect of pleasure. The notion that sexual health encompasses not just a physical, but emotional, social. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I went looking for it. Yep.
I found
pleasure 11 times in this document.
Look at this. So I found this unsanitary.
Right.
Oh. Yeah, just like kind of some of the stories about how unsanitary it is.
So now every time I do a knit and zini, I'm like, oh, that's long. Yeah, you already know. I'm like, yeah, I have like a leg for you. I'm like, oh shit, if other people were to hear me, they'd be like, you're a evil.
I'm lead technician for Biomax.
So we've been working with them. Missy and I have been talking to them about tissue collection and all this other stuff. Middleman. Well, sorry to put you like that.
I don't mind. You know what?
So you'll be seeing the director of abortion services. So you'll be meeting. So you know how you met Paul?
Yes.
Anne is actually the one that's in my clinic 3.5 days out of the week.
Okay, so we'll definitely see each other.
So you kind of the one who's in charge. Like Paul is the overall medical director of the entire affiliate, but I kind of run the third floor, the abortion services. Yeah. So if once we like get our relationship established, it will actually be Anne that you will be seeing more of. You have to come and play with our tissue and see if it's cool enough for you.
I like tissues.
We have a lot of it.
Okay.
See?
Okay, so more for me to keep me busy, because if I'm not busy, I get in trouble.
So I have 2 providers who go up to 24 weeks, and Anne is one of the providers. And I'm so sorry. Met the other provider that goes up to 24 weeks, which is Anitra Beasley.
Okay.
And Anne is the other provider that goes up to 24 weeks as well. So if you want more intact ones, she's the one you kind of need to talk to.
You're the one to see, huh?
I had a patient, like sometime in the past few months, I don't remember what it was. She wanted footprints, and I had a resident with me that day, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this procedure because I'm gonna try and do my best to get these feet out in check.
Right.
We did footprints and handprints, baby.
Dude, you guys are awesome. Well done.
Yeah. But they need like the liver mostly and the
Right now we're getting a lot for liver and thymus. Liver is in short demand. See, like there's people right now, most of the people like ABRs, some of our competitors, they're not even selling the tissue. they're like, oh, we'll give you an isolation. And we're like, well, why can't I get it? And they're like, well, because it's such short demand right now, it's more profitable for us to isolate it and sell you the vials rather than give you the entire tissue. And I'm just like, are you serious?
It's funny because ever since, I think I remember it was like 6 months or a year ago, you told me about the proposition. And so now every time I do a DNA, I'm like, oh, there's some love.
Yeah, you already know, huh?
Like, I can, like, I'm like, I'm telling you.
No, I'm excited.
You told me about the proposition. And so now every time I do a DNA, I'm like, oh, there's some love.
Yeah, you already know, huh?
I was like, where? I was like, where is this? I was like, where's my guy who can play with the tissue? I was like, because they're like trying to sort of, and I was like, I'm like picking up more. Like, you know, they're like, well, can you show us a sample from today? And I'm like, I was like, this is a really bad day for us.
I remember you mentioned that there was one that day.
And it was like one bad sample. It was like a 16-year-old kid.
Who's going?
It was like a 16-year-old kid, so we just had to hurry up. Whereas like other days, it's like more intact, where it's like maybe only like an arm that's disarticulated. Other days, it's like more intact, where it's like maybe only like an arm that's disarticulated. Most weeks, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, anywhere between 5 and 10 samples a week. See, I mean, just between Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Typical. And that's what I was telling you. Like, we like 30 to 50 is like a good number for the month. Like, easy.
Easy. Okay. Wow.
See?
No, that's phenomenal. I mean, you're gonna be busy.
And he's the one that likes to play with pocket. I was like, where? You put him with Glenda. I know. I was like, no, Glenda was the one who took out the tissue for, and we were all like there, like, well, here's like the lung, here's the kidneys, and I was like, but where's? He's like the one that does like.
This I can't even. This is just outrageous.
That's wild.
I never saw that before.
Is that Project Veritas or who's going undercover?
It must have been Project Veritas or so, that just.
I think that's the center. That's the Center for Medical Progress.
That's gonna
CMP.
haunt me. I've never seen anything like that before. That's
a good undercover job. Okay, yeah, center like
just. Oh my God. Oh, like Lord.
Yeah, it gets very like it gives you like undertones of Moloch, doesn't it?
It does. It's this. That's what we dealt with COVID. What we're seeing with trans, it's that children are no longer seen. Childhood is not seen as magical and special. Children are not, blessings and angels, things, beings that we should be protecting. They're commodities, they're sexual.
Because it's bourgeois, right? Like the idea that not all kids can have innocence, so nobody can have it.
Yeah, well, you sexualize them and then predators can get to them. They've been in this protected class, and all of these things are chipping away at that, so that the last frontier is pedophilia, the normalization of what the man love or the child adult relationship, that children can consent. Like you said, Kelly, do you think that that's where consent leads to, that it gives children the ability to consent to relationships with adults?
I think that's a very big and valid concern, especially because I've seen some very disturbing things within the marketing and messaging of some of these GSA club leaders. Some of the stuff that they promote it's very concerning. It's really concerning. Even I think it was today with regards to the group that is working in Wisconsin to try and get that club in. If you go to their Instagram, there was like a bag that was promoted, but it kept referring to boys on the bag, and it's a bunch of men.
Oh, the hot boys. That bag that you sent me, yeah, and it was like hot boys or something, and it
really send me that. I need to look.
Yeah, let me see it here.
I remember, it was a green and white bag.
Wow.
Or green and yellow or something.
There's when everyone asks me why Scarlett, why are they doing this? What would be the point? And
it's called the Beautiful Boys Bag.
Yes, that's what it was.
Beautiful
boys
boys.
bag.
That's creepy.
Hang on.
Yeah, I mean,
Hang on, I'll put it on the screen.
Okay. Yeah, let's put it on the screen.
and it's all of these pictures of shirtless men.
Yes.
In jean shorts, but it's called the Beautiful Boys Bag.
Did you text that one? Because I got it. I remember seeing it, but I can't find it on my.
Let's see. Scarlett. Okay. I'm going to try and send it to you through Twitter. I just sent it to you through text, Scarlett, but let me see if I can get it to you on Twitter. There we go. I just sent it to you there. I mean, I will say you can tell a lot about certain individuals based on some of the things that they have publicly accessible on their social media accounts. And I have just seen some disturbing things that people like on their social media accounts, some of which who run these GSA clubs. And earlier when I got on the stream, you were talking about how if you're in a Republican state, you're not safe. Actually, I think in many ways, it is in the conservative areas that those areas are targeted. I often hear, because I live in California, I hear about, oh, another family we're friends with is moving out of state. Oh, so-and-so's thinking of moving out of state. A lot of conservatives I know are fleeing, whereas the other side is moving in. This is what happened in California to Orange County, which has for many, many years been a conservative stronghold. But I think it is in those conservative states and those conservative regions that they are being targeted sometimes the most by intention. But
Yeah, I
that's
think you just need a couple of core activists to show up. And in a town with like a high trust society, that they're not going to know how to deal with this hardcore activism. They're going to assume that you're probably proceeding in good faith, and these people aren't.
Right.
And then just calling them bigots. People are weak for that. You know, people don't like to have their reputations wrecked.
You can kind of see hidden, like they show this man with a beard, but like right here, you can kind of see there's
without a beard,
a young, like looks like a young boy.
Yeah, you're right.
In the quilt. Yeah.
I know, you like, and that's what I kept telling before. I like Harvey Milk, again, terrible person to lionize, but they do all the time. And this guy was a rumor of 16-year-olds. One of them hung himself in his own apartment. And Harvey Milk partnered with NAMBLA to usher in gay rights in California. I do not understand why we're picking these kind of heroes. I mean,
yeah. Well, and Scarlett, you have highlighted right there. It says in quotes there, it says, these beautiful boys are ready to accompany you on your next road trip.
Oh, God.
Everything you need.
I mean,
it's so like innuendo.
Very sexual. It's a very sexual, like this is loaded. And as we know, and this is from this is information from members of the gay community where they have said that there is this kind of role where an older gay man will take on a lover that is a younger teenage boy. And that was previously considered to be an acceptable relationship. And now it's not, but that's something that who was it? There was a couple.
Josh Slocum has been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah, there's a couple that have been talking about this for a while, and a couple of gay influencers that said, well, this happened to me and it's not okay. And, you know, it's okay. It's not anti-gay to talk about this, you know, and it just like, it's not
anti-Muslim to talk about Grugan gangs in Manchester.
Or that older men will date young, beautiful, like women that they would prefer to be with some 16-year-old. That's perfectly like, it happens and it's not okay. It's not okay. For adults to be in relationships
Yep.
with younger kids, that's not an okay thing. We
Well, and speaking of, it was I think it was Paul Rossi who had tweeted about a now deleted but archived article written by Heather Karina of Scarletine,
Oh God.
which was called "The Rage of Consent," if I'm remembering correctly, and it was the text of this article was seeming to make a case for adults with minors. And
Wow,
Scarletine's
yeah.
recommended.
That one, that
by
Karina is
some-
crazy person.
Yeah.
Wow. The rage of wow.
Well, if you want to destabilize kids, create trauma, and then try to issue woke as the solution, then there you have it. Then it makes sense.
Well, guys, it's getting very late.
Mhm.
It's 1:30.
Yep. All right. This is fun. Thanks for
This was really fun.
Thank you for hosting, you guys. It was great to be
Oh,
here.
this
with
is
you.
I love doing this because it's a way to get out just what we did, going through your X account posts and just kind of doing a little deeper dive so people can see why you posted, what's behind it, because you can put the 280 characters, but when I post a thread, just like what you said, Kelly, just like Brian, what you did today, there's a whole like bunch of information and you just get to kind of put a few nuggets out, but
But
there's a
this
whole
time, right? We did the extra reading where Kelly's like, yeah, here's this and this and this. Boom. Like this time we did the extra reading.
Yeah. And I learned, I learn a lot. And I'm hoping that anyone who's watching this and who will watch it later on replay, like that they can learn more. We just did like a little deep dive into some of these topics. So thanks guys for joining me. This was really fun. And we'll do it again. Like, see, I love this. It was impromptu, just totally like, hey, let's do this. And
yeah, let me know.
Because sometimes it's like, let's do a podcast and we'll think it out. But, it's like, let's just do it. Let's talk about what's happening right now, what we're dealing with right now. And I would love to talk about the Epstein files, but that was kind of a dud.
We'll see. We'll see what's coming.
We'll see what's coming. A lot of mad influencers out there that didn't get invited. Yeah. I was mad too. I didn't get invited, man. But yeah, it turned out to be, who knows what's going on. I mean, I personally never expected. I didn't believe that they were.
I don't either.
I don't think they're ever coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
I tend to agree.
I don't think they should have made that promise. I don't think that it's possible to release the Epstein. I just don't see how they're going to actually get that out there. So.
Well, we live in a crazy news cycle, so we'll see. I'm sure there'll be something.
Yeah, there'll be something. All right. Well, good night, everybody.
All right. Take care.
Good night, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.